House Targaryen ruled Westeros for nearly 300 years. Their power came from one thing almost nobody else had: dragons. The Targaryens were descended from Valyria, an ancient civilization that bonded with dragons through blood and ritual generations before Westeros existed. When Valyria was destroyed, House Targaryen was one of the only dragon-riding families left alive. A dragon in the air made a Targaryen almost impossible to fight. One rider, one dragon, could burn an army before it reached the gates. That's the powerhouse of the dragon is built on. This video is about a real-world parallel to that power: the modern fighter pilot and the air forces built around them. Not a comparison of machines, a comparison of what it does to a society when a handful of people control a weapon nobody else can match. At the height of Targaryen rule, only a small number of people in the world could ride a dragon and live, roughly 20 spread across one family line. Everyone else experienced dragons the same way, from the ground, looking up. That imbalance is the actual subject of this video, not wingspan, not firepower. Who gets to hold power like that, and what it does to the way everyone else sees them? Westeros built its entire social order around a small number of people willing to fly an unmatched weapon. Modern air forces are built on the same structure. The dragons changed, the pattern didn't. In House Targaryen, the ability to ride a dragon wasn't a skill you learned, it was blood you were born with, what the family called the blood of the dragon. Valyrian families kept their bloodlines narrow on purpose. Targaryens married their own siblings, uncles married nieces, not for the throne, but for the dragons. A concentrated bloodline was believed to hold the bond more reliably. By the time of the Dance of the Dragons, only Targaryens and a few relatives who shared their blood could climb onto a dragon and survive the attempt. Rhaenyra rode Syrax, Daemon rode Caraxes. A 10-year-old, Aemond, claimed the largest living dragon, Vhagar, on the day it lost its rider, Laena Velaryon, at her funeral. 20 people, one bloodline, total command of the sky. Modern air forces select for a different kind of rarity, but the funnel is just as narrow. To even get a shot at flying fighters, a pilot needs to rank near the very top of an entire flight school class. That earns a shot at the fighter track. It doesn't guarantee a seat. Beyond that is the US Navy's actual strike fighter tactics instructor program, widely known by its nickname, Top Gun. It selects from the top 1% of fighter pilots who have already cleared everything before it. Thousands enter flight school. Roughly a third clear the fighter track cut. About 1 in 100 of those reach Top Gun. The filter looks nothing alike. The outcome does. A small group, selected by something almost nobody else has, placed in sole command of the weapon that decides who controls the air. Vhagar was not just a dragon Aemond happened to ride. It had flown in the conquest itself, generations earlier. Ridden by Queen Visenya Targaryen alongside Balerion and Meraxes, the 3 dragons that took Westeros. By the time Aemond claimed it, Vhagar was the largest living dragon, rivaled in size only by Balerion. It had a name and a reputation before Aemond was even born. In House Targaryen, riders died. The dragons and the legends attached to them continued across generations. It would be reasonable to assume fighter pilots choose their own call signs, something they picked to sound impressive. They don't choose them at all. A pilot's call sign is assigned by their squadron, and it's typically based on their worst moment, not their best one. A panic during a landing, a mistake made in front of the whole squadron. One wrong sentence in a briefing room can become a pilot's name for the next 20 years. That name goes on the flight suit, the locker, and the side of the aircraft itself. It also flattens rank. A major and a lieutenant are addressed the same way once they're both flying. The name that makes a pilot recognizable in the air is very often the name that once humbled them on the ground. Vhagar worked the same way, in reverse. The dragon's reputation didn't depend on who was riding it. Each rider inherited a legend that was already larger than they were. In 115 AC, Daemon Targaryen married Laena Velaryon without the king's approval. With the court against them, the couple didn't sail into exile. They flew. Daemon on Caraxes, Laena on Vhagar, 2 dragons crossing the narrow sea into Essos, all the way to the court of the Prince of Pentos. Once there, they didn't hide what they had. Daemon and Lena put their dragons on display for the Pentoshi court, a demonstration of exactly what House Targaryen was offering as an ally. Modern air forces stage a version of the same display: formation flyovers, air shows, aircraft flying in tight, coordinated lines, low enough for a crowd to feel the sound in their chest. There's no target and no mission attached to these displays. Their only function is to demonstrate capability, to let a crowd witness what these pilots and their aircraft can do. The impulse is the same either way: power that doesn't need to be proven in battle. It's proven by flying overhead. For roughly a century, House Targaryen ruled Westeros with almost no serious challenge to their authority. That stability didn't come from consent. It came from the fact that no other house had a dragon. That kind of stability is closer to deterrence than peace. It holds only as long as the capability stays one-sided. Roughly 100 years of uncontested Targaryen dominance, for as long as they remained the only house with dragons. Then, House Targaryen split into two rival factions, and both sides had dragons. At the Battle of Rook's Rest, Aemond on Vhagar and King Aegon on Sunfire coordinated an ambush against Princess Rhaenys and her dragon, Meleys. Facing two dragons at once, she had no way to counter both. Earlier in the war, Aemond and Vhagar killed Prince Lucerys and his dragon over Shipbreaker Bay. Daemon, Lucerys' stepfather, later sought out Aemond directly. Caraxes against Vhagar, one rider hunting another for revenge. This is the part a simple dragon versus jet comparison leaves out. Two matched air powers don't produce a larger war in the usual sense. They produce mutual destruction. The same logic held through the Cold War for roughly 40 years. Historians call it the balance of terror, not because either side wanted peace, but because neither side could survive striking first. That logic still shapes air power today in two very different ways. Pakistan and India are both nuclear-armed states, each operating a modern air force numbering in the hundreds of aircraft. In May 2025, that restraint was tested for real. India struck targets inside Pakistan. Pakistan struck back. For 4 days, two nuclear-armed air powers exchanged fire directly, something that hadn't happened between them in decades. Then it stopped. A ceasefire held. Neither side crossed into the kind of war that ends with mutual ruin because both sides understood exactly what that would cost. The other version of this logic looks nothing like a standoff. In early 2026, the United States and Israel didn't face a matched air force in Iran. They faced a far weaker one. Within days, they controlled the sky over it, systematically dismantling Iran's air defenses until the outcome was no longer in question. That's the same weapon, aimed at the opposite scenario. Not two dragons matched against each other, but one side holding every dragon that matters. It's the same asymmetry that plays out whenever a state air force goes up against an enemy that has no air force at all. French jets over Mali, American and British aircraft over ISIS-held Syria and Iraq, Israeli jets over Gaza against Hamas. There's no dogfight in any of those. There's no rival dragon to meet in the sky. When the imbalance is that total, air power stops being a deterrent and becomes something closer to an occupation of the sky itself. A dragon monopoly kept the peace only while it had no rival. The moment there were two, what followed wasn't peace. It was the war the monopoly had been preventing. By the end of the Dance of the Dragons, both claimants to the throne were dead. Neither side won it outright. The fighting stopped largely because there was too little left to continue it. Dragon eggs were destroyed. Most of the dragons themselves were killed. House Targaryen had spent roughly 200 years building a monopoly on the sky. 2 years of civil war destroyed most of it. That's the real cost of a matched air war, in Westeros or otherwise. It doesn't only cost lives, it destroys the capability itself, the same capability that had made stability possible in the first place. The pattern holds across both worlds. A small number of people, selected by something almost nobody else has, are given control of a weapon nobody can match. Societies don't just rely on them. They elevate them, naming their aircraft, marking them with call signs, gathering to watch them fly overhead. That arrangement produces something that resembles peace, for as long as the capability stays one-sided. The moment a rival matches it, the story stops being about legendary riders or elite pilots. It becomes a story about what remains afterward. House Targaryen learned that with dragons. Modern air powers are still living inside the same lesson with jets. Which leaves one question: when control of the sky stops belonging to just one side, what actually gets won?